Good evening. Transportation Secretary Jaime Bautista says the deadline for the consolidation of public utility vehicles for the PUV modernization program will stay. In a brief statement on Thursday, Bautista thanked operators and drivers who embraced the PUV modernization program. However, Bautista says the consolidation deadline stays. According to Bautista, the initiative has gained the support of the majority of PUV operators as around 70% of them have taken part in the consolidation process. On Thursday, the Supreme Court ordered the DOTr and the Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board to respond to the petition against the PUV modernization program. The DOTr and LTFRB were given 10 days to respond to the petition filed by the transport group Piston. In its petition, Piston wants the SC to issue a restraining order on the enforcement of the modernization plan that will begin on December 31, 2023. Meanwhile, operators and drivers of non-consolidated PUJs will still be allowed to operate until January 2024. According to the Department of Transportation, Office of Transportation Cooperatives Chairperson Jesus Ferdinand Ortega, operators and drivers will be given a chance to explain and process, but stressed that consolidation is still mandated.
Maging klaro tayo, pagdating ng January, yung mga hindi nag-consolidate, tuloy pa rin naman niyang babiyahe dahil we will give them due process. May proseso po ang LTFRB na gagawin sa kanila. They will be given a chance to explain. They will be given a chance through a process para finally, sa dulo naman po, ay maibibigay sa kanila yung decision ng LTFRB wherein pag hindi nga sila nag-consolidate, sila ay hindi na pwedeng tumakbo. Pero ibig sabihin, it will take siguro mga 30 days or buong month ng January para iproseso po natin yung mga hindi nag-consolidate.
Sunshine Media Network International asked the Court of Appeals to stop the implementation of the suspension order imposed by the National Telecommunications Commission. Former lawmaker and SMNI counsel Rolex Suplico says the NTC order violated several provisions of the Constitution, including right to due process, separation of powers, right to freedom of speech. He says while it is true that they were ordered to respond to a complaint against SMNI, a suspension order was already issued. Last December 21, NTC handed down a 30-day suspension order against SMNI for alleged violations of its franchise terms. Aside from the suspension, they were issued a show cause to explain why they should not face administrative sanctions. The suspension order stemmed from House Resolution 1499, which states that SMNI violated provisions of its franchise, specifically Section 4, that restrains the network from using its facilities to propagate false information. But the SMNI camp says the NTC, as a quasi-judicial body, should have made its own determination instead of adopting the recommendation of the House, which is a violation of the separation of powers. Both lawyers pointed out that the inquiry conducted by the House of Representatives is in aid of legislation. The Department of Health records 13 new cases of fireworks-related injuries ahead of New Year's Eve. As of December 28, 13 new cases has been documented, bringing the total number to 88. Most of the new patients range from 5 to 49 years old, mostly males. New cases include the first firework ingestion case wherein a 4-year-old boy from Calabarzon accidentally swallowed Watusi at home. DOH also identified the top-ranking fireworks, which causes almost 7 out of every 10 fireworks-related injuries. These are Boga, 5-star, Quitis, Piccolo, Plapla, Whistle Bomb, and Lucis. A 4.9 magnitude earthquake shook Jose Abad Santos Municipality in Davao Occidental on Thursday. The tremor occurred at 9:35 a.m. with an exact location of 17 kilometers north and 15 kilometers west of Jose Abad Santos. FIVOC says the quake was tectonic in origin with a depth of focus of 34 kilometers. Instrumental intensity number 5 was recorded in Malungon town in Sarangani. FIVOC says no aftershocks or damage to property are expected. The Department of Agriculture says almost 500,000 metric tons of imported rice will arrive in the Philippines between this month and February next year. According to the DA, 76,000 metric tons of rice from Taiwan and India are scheduled to enter the country until early January. Taiwan shipped 20,000 bags of rice, equivalent to 1,000 metric tons, before Christmas. Another 75,000 metric tons of rice from India will be delivered from the last week of December to early January. Agriculture Undersecretary Roger Navarro says the country would have enough supply until the next harvest season begins in March with the arrival of the imported rice and harvest by farmers in recent months. The DA pegged national rice consumption at 36,000 metric tons a day, or about 1.08 million metric tons a month. 5 passengers sustained injuries after crashing into the railing of MRT3 while trying to avoid the police car. In a Facebook post, the Department of Transportation released a dashcam footage of the incident along Santolan southbound station in Pasig City. The footage shows the bus as it traverses along Edsa with no nearby vehicles ahead of it. The police car suddenly attempted to enter the lane and almost hit the bus. As a reaction, the bus driver quickly swerved to avoid the vehicle and crashed into the MRT railing. The incident resulted to 5 passengers having scars and suffered from bumps and severe dizziness. They were immediately brought to a nearby hospital and later released. The DOTr reminds the public that only authorized buses from the Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board, on-duty ambulances, fire trucks, police and service vehicles, convoys of top government officials are permitted to use the exclusive bus lane. Here's a quick roundup of today's top stories. Transportation Secretary Jaime Bautista says consolidation deadline for PUVs stays. Supreme Court asks DOTr and LTFRB to respond to petition versus PUV modernization. Octa research says COVID-19 positivity rate in Metro Manila slightly increased. And SMNI asks Court of Appeals to stop NTC 30-day suspension order. And these are the stories you need to know today. I am Danica Landicho. Follow INQUIRER.net on Facebook, X, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Reddit. For more stories, visit INQUIRER.net.